Hey everyone, I'm Ian Douglas, the author of the website techinterview.guide. I do live streams every Sunday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern about topics relevant to interview preparation for the tech industry. I occasionally record longer Q&A sessions, and I've started to break those into smaller videos to post. And there'll be information at the end of this video about how to get in contact with me if you have additional questions. Let's get to it. How do you know the trustworthiness of a person from a job interview? This is a tough one. This kind of goes back to just interview prep and things like that. It's really hard to know sometimes whether somebody's really telling the truth. We can ask questions in different ways to try to see whether the answers are consistent. There are some personality tests that you can do and like little psychology tricks that you can do with people to kind of see if you ask a similar kind of question a little bit later, but you like change some of the wording, like do you still get a consistent kind of answer, or is it a completely different answer? Those would be things to really watch out for. But it's also really hard to design those to try to figure out, like, can I trust this person? A lot of the trustworthiness, I think, would come from a lot of reference checks and sort of background checks on people. Like, have they ever run into a problem with an employer? Has an employer, ever felt that they couldn't be trusted with something? It can be really tricky. There are companies out there, especially like public companies or companies who work with, public agencies or government offices and things like that, where you're going to have rules imposed upon you. Like if you're a bank, and you want to, you really want to apply for that job at that bank because they're doing something really interesting with technology, but you've got some sort of like criminal background, you're probably not going to get hired by a bank. You're probably not going to get hired by a government agency or by a company who works very closely with a government agency. It's not impossible, but there may be restrictions on who they can hire because of that background, but it also depends on the background. If you're applying for a job with a financial services company and you've got a criminal background in, financial fraud, you're probably not going to get that job. But if, it was like something else, like, toilet paper at somebody's house and you got like a misdemeanor or something, probably nobody's going to blink at that. They'll be just like, all right, just don't like do that here at the job. So yeah, I think ascertaining whether somebody can be trusted can be tricky. Now you can ask some questions around, how would you handle a scenario where you found a data leak, or how would you handle a scenario where, some customer data got exposed that you weren't expecting, or, something along those lines. Like maybe you were trying to do some debugging on a web page, and as part of that, you were putting like customer data in HTML comments or something. So it wasn't visible on the page, but if you viewed the source on the page, you could see that information or something like that. Then you would want to be really careful about that. And, as far as like how you answer that question, because, you want to make sure that you're not giving them the impression of like, oh yeah, I've done that. That's totally on me. I've been that untrustworthy person. But, I think you can explain your trustworthiness to some degree as an applicant to a job. But I think a lot of that trustworthiness is going to come more from your reference calls and the kinds of work that you've done in the past. But as an interviewer, it's a hard thing to ask questions to where, it's not like some generic answer that everybody's going to give you. Hey, thanks for watching. I love helping people out with interview prep, and I hope this video helped you in some way. If you found this Q&A useful, please consider subscribing. You can follow me on Twitch as well for the live stream twice a week. Check out techinterview.guide/streaming for more information. I also have a daily email series that you can subscribe to on the website. There are never any ads, and when you finish the series, I scrub your information out of my database permanently. Finally, if you have a question that you'd like answered on the stream, you can find my contact info on techinterview.guide. I prefer LinkedIn or email. If you leave your question in a YouTube comment, it might take me longer to find it, but I'll see you next time.